All set, Betsy.
Okay, great. This is the Rules and Policies meeting on, let's see, the date here, January 12th, I think it is. It's 8:32-ish p.m. And I'm Betsy Gleistein, and I'm here. Member John Anderson cannot be here today. And we also have John Clucci. I guess I'll call you to the roll, but I think I just announced that you're here. So that's the roll. And I think our first order of business is to review minutes from September. John, I think you and I were on the committee at that point anyway. So did you have a chance to look at those that Tody sent out? It was really that quick meeting we had to finalize sending the charter charge forward.
Yeah, I was fine with the September minutes, and I believe we just need to amend this to just read September because we don't have the December minutes available yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Great. So I think it feels a little silly with only two of us, but I'll make a motion that we approve the September minutes.
The second?
And I'm in favor. John?
I am in favor as well, yes.
All right. Okay, so the last meeting that we had, we kind of talked a lot about the charge of the committee and what the committee might do and going forward. And we talked about some of the things that have come up in the past. I think this committee took up a social media policy. Sometimes the committee is brought in. I don't think they always have to be, but they're brought in on the CEA policy. We talked a little bit about the official source of some of these documents that are ultimately created by the committee and the council. And I think we kind of said the website was the ultimate source, but that maybe there could also be a document that tracked, these policies when the policies and procedures that the town has are in effect. And so I think we took a look at the website and noticed, under, I think it's under 101 there, the social media policy is listed twice. The new financial CEA policy, I think, is still not there. So I think we still need to kind of focus on a little bit of cleanup with that in terms of how people can find and really know what policies and procedures are in place for the council. And then the other topic that we talked about that I thought we'd look at briefly today, and I don't think this meeting will go very long, but I thought it would be good to kind of do a follow-up on what we've done in December and try to make an action out of it, is to take a look at the charge and see if we could tighten that charge up a little bit, or just kind of make it more what everyone thought it was for a while, so that we formalized that process. So Liam, I emailed you, and I emailed it to you last night, John, and John Anderson, and he did email back that that he was in favor of what we were doing today. And again, the only reason I went forward without him was because we had discussed this in December. So this is the current charge, and there are some, it's a little bit difficult to read a little bit. So I have a proposed charge that we kind of clean it up a little bit. And the main thing we talked about was whether or not this committee would occasionally take a look or make suggestions. I mean, obviously any counselor could do this, so it doesn't really have to come under any committee, but I believe the discussion was it was kind of a logical place that this committee would occasionally take a look or bring forward changes or ideas under 302A. So that's kind of the cleanup. I can read this out loud if people think it's of value, or we could just look at it on the screen. I guess, some people might be hearing and not seeing the screen. So, and the other thing was that, you know, John, you had pointed out was that the charter really kind of said, you know, the rules and policies was doing things to make sure it was compliant with state law and local charter. And so a lot of times the attorneys help us do that. And I do agree it's ultimately, you know, the council, it's our responsibility to make sure we're following state law and local charter. But the committee historically has done, you know, kind of beyond that, you know, when they propose new policy like the social media policy or something like that, you know, they will ensure that's compliant with state law, but they also kind of crafted the policy and talked about things. So I added a little bit of verbiage just to say, you know, we'd be doing just a little more than ensuring that a policy was compliant with state law and the town charter. And then I personally just cleaned it up a little bit because I thought it was a little hard to read. So I'll read the proposed one. The Rules and Policies Committee shall review existing and proposed town council adopted policies, which is chapter 101, council rules and procedures, which is chapter 302, committees and boards rules and procedures, chapter 302A, for consistency, relevance, and clarity, and ensure all are in compliance with state law and the town charter. All recommendations will be brought forward for approval by the town council. And, you know, just an example, I guess, last year was we took a look at we had underneath 101 a quote unquote smoking policy. It was more of a resolution. That's where it landed, was under 101. And we said that it belonged better. We looked at it in compliance with state law, and then we said it belonged better under ordinances, and that we had some things to take care of it, and we passed it over to ordinance. So that was just an example of cleaning up something for consistency and whether it was relevant or not, and clarity. And that had come up because as new, you know, marijuana laws passed, the question came up, what does that mean at the beaches and things like that. So that's just an example of the types of things, you know, for this committee to kind of pay attention to and clean up a little bit sometimes. So since we only have one other member here today, John, I'll kick it over to you to ask, you know, if you have thoughts on this, what you might, you know, what you think that maybe we would do, or is this, do you have different other ideas or changes, or?
I don't. I think you've done a good job. I'd be interested to hear what staff thinks, but I think it adds clarity and casting it a little bit wider than it does today. And I think that's good. I think somebody should be, you know, looking at our policies for relevance and consistency and clarity. So I think those are good adds. I haven't had a ton of time to dwell on it, but on the surface, I think it makes sense. I don't know if any staff, Tom or Liam or Tody, if you guys have any input or thoughts but, on the proposed change.
No, I would simply say I think it simply speaks to what the committee has done fairly consistently. It just adds clarity, and I think going forward, the future committees will be able to appreciate and not have to spend a couple meetings figuring out what they're supposed to do. So good adds.
I agree.
In terms of oh, go ahead, Liam. Sorry.
No, I do as well. I think it answers that question that we had some conversation about last meeting. Clarifies it. So no, I think it looks good.
So next step, I think we could come out of committee and bring it to the council for approval to amend. It would amend chapter 302. I'd be happy to make a motion to bring this proposed new charge for the committee forward to the council as a committee.
I'll second.
Okay.
So for discussion, I just as we look at it again, I just want to make sure I didn't want to make it too broad. I think it clearly says that, you know, we won't be involved in every single thing. I mean, we might be, we might not be. I think the CEA policy was sent to rules and policies. You know, I think council should be free and other committees should be free to refer to rules and policies, but I don't think it means that we have to be, have to pass everything to rules and policy. So I was really hoping to not make it too broad and not make it so narrow. So it sounds like people are in agreement that maybe it hit that mark. So that was my only other comment. So this will be a quick meeting if we pass this. And John Anderson did email back and he said he liked it and he was in favor of it. He's not here to vote, but again, this was really kind of a follow up from the last meeting. So I kind of felt like, we were all on board with this, but I am in favor of it. And John?
I am as well. To your point, the only place that I had a little hesitation was the shall at the beginning. I wasn't sure if there was a more general way to phrase that. But I'm good with it. If we come up with something between now and the council meeting that clarifies or makes it a little better, then great, we can do it then.
Right. Yeah. I like that. Okay. So I think this is passed. I think, we'll figure out, I can touch base with Don and Paul and kind of figure out when we could move it forward, what meeting, and then we'll, get it out to the rest of the council so they can take a look at it and maybe explain a little bit of the background of why we did it. So at the next meeting, I'll definitely introduce it, and then, maybe the meeting after that, we'll be able to move it forward just so that people know what we did and can get an update on it.
Yeah, Betsy, as a practical matter, I think Tony can turn this around quite quickly. So it's available and it could be ready for the 20th if the leadership feels as though we should move that right along. So I just put that out there. Totally up to you in their schedule.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, if you don't mind moving that forward, Tom, that would be awesome.
Sure. Yeah, and I have a leadership meeting with them tomorrow. So maybe if you could touch base, just prime the pump, and then I'll circle back with them when we meet tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. Okay, so our agendas are pretty simple, but Liam, do you mind switching to the agenda here?
I think we need a vote on that, don't we?
That was a vote, but
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't sound like one. John said,
All
yeah,
right.
I'm good.
Okay, fair enough.
But I can call the formal vote.
No.
I approve it. John?
I voted yes too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a little hard with this. It's even with 3, it feels so kind of odd, but with 2, it feels even weirder. So,
Right.
Yeah, so that's good. I'm sure there's members of the public dying to weigh in here. Is that right, Liam?
We have no one in attendance.
No one. Okay. Well,
Betsy, I will say that Tony and I talked briefly, and we will come back to you with some revisions on the website. The chapter 101 in particular needs to be cleaned up. I think there was conversation. It makes sense to perhaps create a 101A or something like that for repeal policies. And then, as you've so aptly noted, there's the CA policy that's missing there. So we'll get that cleaned up. I think we can do that in time for your next meeting.
okay. Yeah, it's just everybody's busy, but I just think if we kind of keep plugging away over it over a period of months, we'll get it there, and it'll be helpful, for everyone, the town, and for future councils.
You might consider a home for resolutions and proclamations as well.
Yeah.
I don't know that those are easy to kind of locate.
Yeah, that would be a really good one. I don't know what number we'd put it under, but I really feel we should have that too.
Okay. We'll hopefully have that done so we can preview that and talk about it at your next meeting.
Okay, great. So I think for future agenda items, and John, feel free to jump in here, but we had a really robust discussion in December. And so I think we had, detailed out some areas that we might take a look at. I don't think we have to, say exactly what they are today, but now that we'll have the charge cleaned up, I know, some that came to mind were, do we need any cleanup on email and electronic communication? I know that, when I came on council, there were some questions about it when, when John came on council, and maybe when you came on too, John C, when you were new, I read it myself recently and I'm like, oh boy, it's pretty brief. And then, you'll get answers back, from other counselors. Well, you can't do that, so I don't know. It might be an area to tighten up. I think we just have to see about that. I mentioned one, about going through and seeing, what committees are recording now that we have Zoom, and then do we even, are we going to keep Zoom, forever, even when we go back to public? And, I think the one committee I mentioned is, I think it would be really good to record long range planning committee on a regular basis. So that might be one we would add underneath boards and committees. And maybe, so like I said, I thought we had a robust discussion last time, John. So I think there was plenty of things to cherry pick in that December discussion that we might look at for the next meeting. I don't want to bite off too much, just kind of like I say, pick away at one or two things at a time and just have, brief meetings and focus on things and maybe kind of attack it the way the BOE does with policies. Over time, when they just go through every single thing, month after month after month, you finally, you start getting some consistency and clarity around it without doing a big bang job. So I don't know, what are your thoughts about future agenda items, John?
So I think for the next meeting, reviewing the organization structure for, how we house and make our policies and proclamations and whatnot accessible to the public and available for us to review. I think that's a good chunk. We'll probably spend a little time on that. And then, in alignment with the new charge, I think pick a couple policies or areas of interest and let's go through them. I don't have anything specific that, I feel takes precedence over another. But it sounds like you have a couple ideas of things that you think could be improved or tweaked. So I go along with that.
Right. And I don't think we have to vote on them in every meeting. Maybe we discuss and then vote like the next meeting or something like that. So it gives us a little time to think it through and things like that. So, okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
I think it'd be a good idea for the agenda packet and it might actually invite some participation too, is to actually include the policies that we'll be going over, and then members of the public can have the opportunity to weigh in on those topics too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Try to, maybe we'll even do maybe I'll take one of Ken's columns, whether it's the electronic one or the other one, and just kind of explain to people how it might seem dull, but it's important. It helps. It's how the town runs, and there's policy geeks out there who might go, yeah, I'm kind of interested in that. And certainly, as we know, there's people in the public that go through this stuff with a fine tooth comb and, probably could give us ideas. We're certainly not the be all end all on this type of thing. So yeah, maybe a column to say, hey, look, this is a place that you might want to take a look. And if you've ever been unhappy with how the council runs something, this would be a chance to say, hey, it would be good if the council did this or didn't do that, or, something that somebody from the public might be interested in.
Just to the point of beginning kind of review of policy, does it make sense just to have Liam pull up chapter 101 and you could select the policy for review for next week or next meeting?
I'd probably kind of rather kind of get some feedback, outside of the meeting.
Okay.
And then, like you say, pull it forward sooner and get it out there. And then I think, like John was saying, we'll take a look at some of the cleanup, helping people find policies, and then, take a look at one or two just for discussion. But
Well,
yeah,
staff awaits direction.
A rash of these. We may go through and just say, hey, you know what, we're done for now, and we're not going to do any more right now. It's not even required that we're going to keep on doing it, every month. So.
Well, staff awaits further direction from you, I guess, as chair, as to which policy or policies you wish to review, so we can attach them to the agenda for transparency.
Yep. And
okay.
Yeah, so since John Anderson's not here, so we can communicate a little bit outside of the meeting, and because it's a topic about it, an agenda, and we'll pick some.
Okay.
Okay. And I think I'll go back to the December and rewatch the whole December meeting, because we discussed several at that meeting too. So. Okay. All right. So if there's nothing further, I would make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. I'm in favor. How about you, John?
I'm in favor. Have a great day, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.